Hello, this is Let's Talk About It show in support of WKG Strategy Foundation. We aim at assisting people with visible and invisible disability with their career transition, new career, new business, freelancing career, or just making business out of your hobby. We are here for you to help. Our special guest today talks about how to get unstuck, the productivity tips, and exercises, tools, everything to start your new career at times of uncertainty. Welcome. This is Emily Guerra from sunny Los Angeles. Hello, Emily.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
We're equally thrilled to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, that's amazing that you want to share this such an important thing as topic of productivity.
Yes.
And I know many will hear like, oh, okay, productivity again. Many of our listeners will be dealing with a lot, having a lot on their plate, including health issue, including basically some days not being able to get up and get to work, not to even start thinking about new career, start thinking about new business, anything. Where to start from and how to get into that mindset where you're able to start it all.
Yeah. And I feel like I can really relate to that. Having graduated from university in 2020, right into the pandemic, I actually lost all of my future plans. I lost two of the jobs I had. I had to move out of the state I was living in, moved in with family. And I just felt like I had a period of, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Mm-hmm. And at that period, I was also actually overcoming trauma-induced epilepsy. So I feel like just the layers that I was going through at that time, I very much felt so stuck. And so I don't know what my future holds and I don't know how I can figure it out. And that process and that headspace can be really debilitating, especially when you have additional debilitations on top of that. And so I really have been working the last couple of years to overcome that and to move myself forward into entrepreneurship, into self-employment, and into just happiness and enjoying my life and enjoying the day to day. And that was a big shift. It was not an overnight shift. So I'm excited to talk about a lot of the things that I personally did, a lot of the things that I see other freelancers and entrepreneurs like me do as well, and just to how to be your most productive self. That's really what I focus on.
I guess have you discovered that there are some people, pardon me, that have COVID caused them to shift where they were before, what they thought was impossible? I can't imagine myself being an entrepreneur. Now
that was me.
Now they're compelled to be so, and they found new ideas, new way of living that they hadn't even ever imagined.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So many entrepreneurs I know nowadays really started out of COVID, including me. Before COVID, I was going to be a wedding planner, and that was my path for years before COVID. And so I never once thought about owning my own business. I never once thought about coaching other people or helping other people in that way. It was just something that never came to mind. But when work from home became so common and hybrid work is still as common, it really paved the way for people like me who really didn't know what we wanted to do to just figure it out along the path and to just try new things. And I don't think that would have been as easy to do, as acceptable to do, or as beneficial to do pre-COVID, just because of the culture that we had around work from home and remote work. It just was not as fulfilled as it is nowadays. And so now we really have this opportunity to constantly continue testing out new things as a freelancer and entrepreneur, which I find so fun and so fulfilling. And one of the reasons why I could never see myself now doing a 9-to-5 or doing any other kind of job.
Yes, well, COVID showed many people that gig economy is not something out of there. I remember before COVID when people hear that you work from home office today, it was like, oh no, not that again.
What's wrong?
Yeah. What am I doing here?
Can't get a job.
So funny because that's so true. I feel like that really was like the stigma we almost had against anyone who worked from home. And now it's kind of like, oh, you work from home? Like, that's cool. You must be disciplined. You must be like on top of your game. Like, good for you. It's a total flip. So I find that so funny as well.
Well, it is funny, but what is funnier to many people, words entrepreneur and freelancer are still not equal. Why is that?
That's a really great question. I think entrepreneur really means that you're starting a business, that you are doing more than offering services back and forth to one or a couple individuals. It's really more about hiring other people, expanding and growing into something greater than yourself. Whereas freelancing, a fantastic pave way into entrepreneurship, I believe, is really where you're just focused on yourself and you're focused on doing services for other people or, selling a product or something like that. And it's very, very individualized in that way. So that's really how I differentiate the two. I consider myself to be both a freelancer and an entrepreneur. And I have to say, it's only been a recent shift until I started calling myself an entrepreneur. At first, I was really stuck in calling myself a freelancer. And I was like, no, than that now. I have a whole business. I'm wearing multiple hats. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's good to say.
So to say, yes. Well, Emily, let's get to unstuck question.
Yes.
How does one get from this, oh my God, everything's falling around you. What am I doing? What I'm going to do to, I can try this.
Oh, yes. It is definitely a little bit of a jump. And I think one of the very first things that you really have to do is understand that voice in your head. And that's actually my first unstuck strategy. U stands for understand the voice in your head. And the reason I believe that this is so incredibly crucial, and I also want to point out for moving forward in any direction, like whether you want to become a freelancer or you just want to shift your mindset or you just want to be a little bit happier, whatever the shift is, you always want to acknowledge that voice in your head and acknowledge that they're just stories and thoughts don't necessarily identify who you are as a person. So, for example, I used to think there was no way I could ever start a business. Like, there is no way that that's my path. And then I realized, you know what? That thinking pattern is really hindering me because it's not allowing me to view anything else. So is this voice in my head empowering me or is it keeping me back? And just asking that question is really empowering because when you realize that, oh, maybe the voice in my head is keeping me back, okay, then you can do something about it. And then you have this awareness, and awareness is power, in my opinion, because then it allows you to take those actions to start gaining clarity. And gaining clarity is really all about, firstly, understanding that voice in your head and making sure that it's empowering you. And then secondly, outlining your future and tapping into your future and wondering what it is you want to be doing a year from now. What do you want your life to look like? And creating that vision once you know that you have an empowerment voice within you.
Yes.
It is important. But I know many listeners right now say when you deal with health issues, different kind of symptoms, medication, side effect, and not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, it's more challenging than for anybody else.
Yeah, no, and I so relate to that. There was a point where I was 80 pounds suffering with anorexia and going through epilepsy, and I was in a really negative headspace. To say, I think that's putting it lightly, honestly. And I had to make a choice at one point. Do I want to allow all of these hindrances in front of me to define me? That's really a choice, and it's not an easy choice. It's not a choice that you can make overnight. And it's not a choice that'll change everything tomorrow. It's a choice that you have to make every single day, every single time you have one of these moments where you don't know how you can do it. And a great way to make that choice is to start getting curious and to start asking yourself, like, how can I move on? How can I get over this? Like, how can I look at this in a different way? What can I be grateful for? What can I appreciate in this moment? What can I learn? And when you start getting curious and asking yourself those kind of questions, you naturally start pinpointing a little bit more pieces of empowerment that can help you reframe your situation and start looking at it and start taking your power back.
Yes, recognizing that you do have power, you're not a victim.
Exactly.
You don't have to do anything. I love that. I love your healthy attitude about all of this, is that you are already self-empowered.
We just have to tap into it. I think we're naturally, it's innate. It's within us, this focus and clarity that it's already here. Just we have all these distractions in the world, and those are internal, external distractions that are really preventing us from seeing the clarity within us. And that's why I think understanding the voice in your head is so incredibly powerful, because when you can tap into, like, what is it that I really want? What is it that I see myself doing a year from now? What is it that brings a smile to my face and that can maybe make me a few bucks? Like, what is it that drives that ambition I know is within me? And asking yourself those questions and realizing that it is within you, you just have to harness that power and use some tools and get some help in order to feel that momentum. That realization is really empowering. And there's always almost like an epiphany moment, where you're like, oh, okay, this is the first time I really actually believe the self-empowerment thoughts I'm thinking now.
Well, forgive me, honey, but one more question on that thought.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about women, and thinking about women are in a position sometimes they've been raised to, in a way, ask for permission for certain things.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, how do women get over that waiting or asking for permission and feeling that they're already empowered and they can just flat out take what they want?
That doesn't happen in our house, okay?
No. Parenthetically, Lucy doesn't even know what the washer and dryer look like. Okay. But how do you get women who are waiting for asking for permission to be polite in their attitude about being an entrepreneur and so on?
That's a great question. And I think it really comes down to your self-worth and knowing that you don't need permission. And asking for permission is honestly, at this point, for a lot of people, it's a habit. We don't necessarily think about asking for permission, but we just kind of wait and do it. It's very habitual in that sense. So catching yourself and stopping yourself when you find yourself wanting permission from the external and wondering, do I really need this permission to move forward? Will this actually change my trajectory? And if the answer is yes, then by all means, do what you feel is comfortable. But most of the time, we'll find that the answer is no. We're just kind of procrastinating. We have some self-doubt or imposter syndrome that we're trying to overcome. There's always something internal that's really driving it. And that's why I really do believe that understanding the voice in your head is so key and powerful, because when you can see, you know what, this habit I have of asking for permission is really just holding me back. It's not actually helping me do anything. And it's not making me feel more empowered once I get the permission. I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool. Now I can go do it. Well, is that helpful? And wondering that and then acting on your answer. No, it's not helpful. Okay, then let's next time try to not ask for permission and see how that goes.
I think that's wonderful advice, because there are these people, especially women, forgive me, but they're already smart enough. They already have so much going for them. Some of them just don't believe they have it. They already have it.
Yes. And believing in yourself is something that does not come naturally. Unfortunately, it is something that you really have to nurture. And that's actually a great segue into my second unstuck strategy, which is N, which stands for Nurture Empowering Beliefs. It is literally all about nurturing that self-belief and that self-empowerment within you. And my favorite way to do it is by using daily affirmations. So in the morning, I write down 3 to 4 sentences that I know empower me and make me feel really strong-willed and determined to act like the person I know I can be. So, for example, one of my affirmations is, I am an empowering coach. Simple as that, but it just makes me feel like, yeah, I am. That's right. Like, let's go today. I'm going to go and coach someone in some empowerment. And it just makes me feel good. And it makes me want to actually go do the thing. And so I think nurturing self-empowerment is a step that we so often skip, but it is so important in order to gain that confidence to go and act, in order to gain that confidence to be okay with self-doubt and to be okay with maybe embarrassing yourself or not getting as many likes or whatever the case may be. It gives you that confidence. So that's why I think it's so important.
Yes.
Well, it is. First, choose yourself. Listen to your voice and choose yourself.
Exactly.
Careful listening voices in your head too.
Yes.
Exactly.
Those can be dangerous. Well, Emily, what else?
Yeah.
Productivity has a lot to do with discipline.
It does.
And when people hear discipline, they think, oh no, army.
I know, right? Well, you know what's so funny? I think the secret to discipline is really motivation. Because if you don't have a real reason to be disciplined, it's really hard to be disciplined, you know? But you have to have some sort of reason why you want to be productive today, why you want to have a freelancing business. Like there has to be a deeper why to really drive in intrinsic motivation and determination to actually act day in and day out. That's kind of the key to freelancing and to self-employment, you know, because at the end of the day, the hours I don't work, I probably won't get paid for. And I know that. So I have to have the discipline in order to act every single day. And some of the things that I personally do to set that discipline up, number one is I have a vision. And what I mean by that is I have a document that I have literally handwritten a couple pages out describing my future 1 year from now. And the reason I do that is so that way I can literally close my eyes and actually see it in vivid detail. And when you can do that, when you can visualize what you want to happen, it's almost like a dress rehearsal for your brain. Your brain processes it as a memory. And so then it makes it a lot easier to do actions to get towards this memory that is your future. So visualization is such an important tool that I always recommend anyone starts off with, particularly if you want to start a business or start offering services for other people, because you have to understand what it is you're working towards. So that's number one. The second thing I always do is I upgrade my routine, and I do that by having 5 daily rituals scheduled into my day. So that way it is always for sure routinized and in my calendar. And as long as I can follow those daily rituals, I can follow the structure of my day. So the first daily ritual is a morning ritual, which we all kind of know and love already. The second one is the workday startup, which is just a couple of actions that you do once you sit at your desk to get into the work frame of mind. So what I do is I meditate, I do my daily affirmations, I look over my time block schedule for the day, and then I get right into it. And that's it. Simple as that. And then I have midday rituals, which are my breaks for the day. And then I have a workday shutdown ritual, which helps me close out work, and it puts work away for the night. So that way I can have my night and I can have work-life balance. And then I also have my evening ritual, which is what I do to get ready for bed. So setting those up and scheduling myself in that way really helps to routinize a lot of my tasks and habits throughout the day. So that way I'm sure to maintain that discipline. I just talked a lot, so that
was excellent.
That's absolutely great advice. Emily, one question.
Yes.
For many people who listen and ask, people with visible and invisible disability, it's oftentimes hard to maintain this kind of schedule when you go into work mode day after day, because some days are like completely off because you're unable to do much. What will be your advice for how to get back without that feeling, oh no, I haven't done it? So
I have two pieces of advice for that one. So firstly, I always have shortened versions of my rituals for days that I feel really rushed, or it's just so busy and my schedule is so hectic that day. I know I cannot get a 15-minute meditation in, but maybe I can get a 5-minute meditation in, And so then I'll just add my 5-minute meditation. Instead of writing 5 rituals, maybe I'll just write 1. And then I make it short so that way, even during those busy days, I have an option. Now, let's say there's a couple of days where I'm traveling or it just goes completely AWOL and my schedule is out the window, right? What I love to do then is just hit the reset button, and I'll take a couple minutes to journal why my schedule went awry. What happened? What triggered it to go all over the place? Because maybe I can prevent that from happening next time. Or maybe it was just something so out of my control that I just have to accept and say, you know what? It happened. And that's okay. You know why it's okay? Because I'm human and I cannot hit a perfect record. That's not possible. But I know I can at least start doing my shortened rituals again. And then start small and start with just 1 or 2 things and ease back into it until you make each little thing a habit.
Yes.
The right habits, it's a big deal.
It certainly is.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, what's the next piece in your formula?
Yes. So the next piece is S, substitute self-doubt. And this one is so big. We have touched on it a little bit, but the biggest way I love to substitute self-doubt is replace it with curiosity. Because when you can ask questions, your brain naturally wants to answer them. It's just how our brain works. So it's really like tapping into your brain as a superpower, as the superpower that it is. And when you can ask yourself questions like, how can I? What can I learn? What if, but in a positive sense, to make us think about the best case scenario. Really try to avoid the what ifs in a negative sense that make you think of the worst case scenario. You always want to flip it on its head to make it more positive. But those 3 questions alone have always enabled me to figure out what my next actions are, or to figure out what my affirmations need to be, what self-empowerment points I'm missing, and to just really help me hone in on how to actually move forward. Like sometimes when you feel so doubtful, you just have no idea what your next step is. So when you can say, okay, this is what I want to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to journal for 5 minutes about ways that I could maybe do it. And then start there, and you'll feel the inspiration come as you answer these questions.
That's a very proactive step. I like that.
Yes. I think proactivity is the key to resilience, honestly, because when you can ask yourself ways of overcoming self-doubt, you become resilient because you're moving forward. And resiliency is so key in working for yourself, because a lot of the time you can get no's, you can get rejections, you can feel silly sometimes, you can wonder if you'll ever get the next client. There's all these kinds of reasons why resiliency is needed. So it's a great way to instill some.
I think about the no's and the rejection and resiliency. I used to teach 5th grade math and science, and kids are amazing. You will tell them, no, you cannot have another cookie. And none of them walk away and say, okay, no, they'll come back and offer another reason why they can get a cookie. And then they'll come back with another reason. Reason. Yeah. And pretty soon they have 2 cookies. They do. They're just so resilient, and they don't accept no.
Yeah, that is so true. Something I think we can really learn from kids is their curiosity. That kid-like curiosity and that kid-like wonder that we have for the world when we're young. And we lose that as we grow older, and we lose that ability to wonder and ask and get deep in there. And I think it's because as we grow up, we're told like, let's set realistic goals. Like, you want to be an astronaut? Okay, well, what can you actually be? Like, those are the kinds of things that we're told as kids. And so it brings our curiosity down. And when we're adults, we don't get curious. We just want to get more done in less time. And so it's really about harnessing that kid-like superpower and getting curious again and wondering how you can actually overcome this doubt, because that is the key to resilience.
It is indeed. I'm sorry, honey. Emily keep giving me all these ideas. She's so good. I heard a guy one time say, if you want to date a supermodel, he said, then go out and ask 100 beautiful girls on a date. And
there you go.
He said the secret is you're only going to get one yes. And you already know it. So the fastest you get to the 100, the sooner you get to dating a supermodel. So what I do is that over the years, I just attach how much do I want to make in a year. I reduce it down to how much I want to make in a day. And then I attach a value to every no. And the sooner I get to those no's, I get my yes. So if it's going to take me 50 no's to get to one yes, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get through them as soon as I can.
Because you have that vision of what that yes is, and you know what you're working towards. See, it's
not personal. I just have to get through them because everybody has.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like that's sometimes just the life of a freelancer, like, okay, we got to get through all this task to do the end final deliverable or get the end result that the client is looking for. Like, let's just go and do it. And then afterwards we're like, okay, I did it. Now what? Like, I need that next client. Now I need to go and do that next thing. And that's where like proactivity and resilience really do go hand in hand.
They do.
Well, those are all such an important steps. And I know our listeners feeling overwhelmed already, but it's easy to follow and implement these steps. And there will be some tips that we place in the description. So please follow. There will be the link to contact Emily if you need more help. And we will be posting more content to help you with productivity.
I'm telling the listeners right now, you can't go wrong talking to Emily. Oh. She has the enthusiasm, she has the compassion, and especially the empathy to be able to help.
You guys are the best, truly. And if anyone wants to check out the rest of my Unstuck strategies, I have an online course called How to Get Unstuck and Move Forward, where I dive into my 7 unstuck strategies, 3 steps to shift into a growth mindset, and more than a dozen printable and fillable tools, all of which I will totally give you guys at a discounted rate because you're here with us and Jim and Lucy. So I am just so appreciative for this conversation and for being able to offer as much value as I possibly can.
Well, great. We're looking forward to doing morning karaoke with you after 3 cups of espresso, okay?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
Emily, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing. And we really appreciate this offer that I'm pretty sure our listeners will find that a great value in.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself.